Are you sitting here and scratching your head being like, what is a hybrid event? Or maybe you've been working in person and you've just been hesitant to try virtual, or maybe you've been all virtual and now you're realizing you want to start taking your skills hybrid. Well, I have the analogy for you of how you can understand what a hybrid event even means from a production side. So stick around. I'm Logan Clements, freelance event producer, and before we jump into it, I do want to remind you to like, subscribe, turn on that notification bell so you get notified every single Monday when I drop new videos. I love to talk about virtual event production, in-person production, running my own business, sports. There's a little hint of what we're about to talk about. So if you love free content and you want to even learn more about event planning and production, I also co-host the Better Events podcast. You can listen to it wherever you listen to podcasts. We drop new episodes every Wednesday and we focus on a different event planning or running your small business topic every single week. So go give it a listen. All right, friends, I'm so excited to talk through this with you because I had a eureka moment about hybrid events a couple weeks ago when I was going back to my first in-person event since everything came to a standstill about 18 months ago. And so my background is in event production and specifically in live sports. So often I am the producer for all the in-venue experience. We call this game day experience, sports presentation, what have you. It is everything that happens for anyone who has come to our event in person. Think starting lineups, think national anthem, the dance cam, any mascot moments, the DJ, MC, anything you hear in the venue. I had this light bulb go off because I have been talking with countless clients about what does hybrid mean. I've been working on the virtual side of things, and so I've had a lot of conversation about what does virtual mean for people. And now as we move back into hybrid, the best analogy I can have for you of what is hybrid, a hybrid event is live sports. Bear with me. If you're not a sports person, that's okay. I've had so many clients recently when I've said this, their eyes light up like all of a sudden they get it. So hear me out. Hybrid events are live sports because when you go to at any live sporting event, call it, let's say, a baseball game, you have two audiences. You have the audience that has chosen to purchase tickets and go in person to watch your baseball game. And then you have a very large audience of people who are not there in person and they are watching it on TV. Now, some behind the scenes, since I've been doing sports presentation, is there's actually an entire team that is just dedicated to the in-person experience, and we call that sports presentation, game day presentation. I've heard a lot of different terms for it, but there is a producer, there's music, there's an MC, there's entertainment that is just for those that have opted to come to the live sporting event in person. Now there's also TV. There is a TV producer and director and camera people and a script, and there's TV hosts who are all focused on covering that live sporting event for, drumroll, the virtual audience. It's hard to think of TV like virtual, but this is honestly the best way to think about it. There are two different groups of people when we're talking about live events. Like when the NFL is thinking about the Super Bowl, they will have essentially two spheres. They have their in-person audience that is spending thousands of dollars to go to the Super Bowl, and they have the at-home audience, which is also millions of people that would never have fit in the stadium and probably couldn't afford the thousands of dollars ticket, but they still want that Super Bowl experience. And so thinking through your event, like a live sporting event, where you will have that group of people that opts in to come in person, and you'll also have that virtual audience that opts to not come in person. And so why is it so interesting to think through it like a live sporting event is think through like in a baseball game, whenever the inning is over, TV will go to commercial, or they will go to their in-person studio to talk to their host or their commentators who will then share some insights with the TV audience. Those that are in person, they're not watching the commercials from TV. They're not listening to those TV announcers. They're getting entertained in some other way in person, maybe by the in-person MC or doing a game or a song, or they're watching an ad specifically for those people in the arena on the giant screen. Why is this helpful when you think about it like sports? Is there are certain elements that both audiences are going to be watching, aka for sports, the game, but there are those breaks and there's moments and those things like if there's a rain delay. What do you do if there's a rain delay in baseball? They'll cover the field, they'll make the fans go and sit usually under cover, and maybe they play music. But if on TV, they're often not just watching the field getting wet and listening to the music that you are in person, they're probably having their commentators start telling you about something else, and they might even show you a whole nother game while you're waiting for your original game to get going. This scenario also applies to a hybrid event. For example, if your virtual stream goes down, the virtual side of your hybrid event goes down, will you stop the in-person part? Or will you have the in-person part keep going and the stream will just rejoin whenever they rejoin and you'll apologize to your virtual attendees? But maybe you're hosting a corporate event and you want it to be this one community of both in-person and virtual, and you do want to make sure that you then are stopping your stream. So these are scenarios that you need to talk through. And the big thing that I really want to emphasize, if you are doing hybrid, you're really going to set yourself up for success if you have two separate teams. And those teams could be, if it's a smaller event, maybe just two different people. One person who's controlling everything that happens in person and one person who's controlling the stream and what everybody virtually is seeing. Those two people are pretty much separate. They'll have separate run of shows, separate timelines maybe, but there are certain things they need to coordinate on, like that scenario of what to do if something happens to the stream, or when you're getting ready to start the event, making sure, okay, is the stream ready? Is everything else ready? Are you ready in person? Okay, we're starting at the same time. But other than that, you really do operate pretty separately. And I found that in my sports presentation roles as a producer, I control the in-person experience. And there's a couple things I'll check in with TV on to make sure that they know that this is happening, but we've already confirmed our timelines. They know what time we're trying to start, and we know what when they're gonna be live on TV, and we've kind of coordinated it, but we are two separate entities. So if that helps you kind of think through what hybrid is, I am actually really in love with this analogy. So if you have other ones that come up, feel free to let me know. But I found this sports analogy has been the best way to help my clients visualize what we mean by hybrid. And I will also just say this as a bonus that in the before times, pre-COVID, people were probably happy joining virtually by just being like a standard camera in the back of the room, just static, kind of that fly on the wall experience. And I will say, coming out of COVID, where we've gone to events that are 100% virtual, our expectations as attendees have changed. And we want more than just a static back of the room camera. So if you are thinking about going hybrid, your production budget is probably going to be bigger than what it was pre-COVID, purely because you now need to invest in probably multiple camera angles. And I will do an entire video on some lessons that I learned from a recent event where we had 3 cameras and it was a game changer. If we'd only had 2, honestly, the stream would have felt completely different. But the more that you think through your hybrid strategy, I get really excited about it as a planner. Hopefully this isn't overwhelming because there's so much opportunity. You are, just like sports, you're gonna have people come back and want to do things in person, but you are also going to be able to have expanded reach by offering a virtual option for your event. And it's really up to you as the event host of how much you want to make those two experiences completely different, how similar you want to make them. But to be honest, they cannot be the same experience as they might have been in years past. That's all I got for you. I'm Logan Clements, freelance event producer. This has been another installment of my favorite tips and tricks when it comes to event planning and running your own business. If you have any questions about hybrids events, drop them in the comments below. I'd love to hear from you. What are you loving? What are you hating? What questions do you have? I think this is just a conversation starter, and I'm excited to see as the industry grows and evolves. I'll talk to you guys again next week. Bye.